सर्ववेदिक सत्फल सर्वसिद्धांत रत्नाढ्य सर्वलौकिक त्रिप्रद सर्वभागवत प्राण श्रीमद्भागवत प्रभो परिध्वांतो जतादित्य श्री कृष्ण परिवर्तिता परमानंद पाठाय प्रेमवशक्षराय ते सर्वदा सर्वसेव्याय श्री कृष्णाय नमोस्तुमे मदेक पंथो मत्संगिन मद्गुरो मन्महाधनम मन्निस्तारक मद्भाग्य मदानंद नमस्कृते असाधु साधुतादाय नतनीचोच्चताकर आनमंशगदाशिन मां प्रेमणा हृत्कंठयो स्फुर ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। Okay, verse 10 to 14th chapter 12. शिवैषोद्यन्तमादित्यम् अभिरुच्यानलानना मामङ्गसारमेयोऽयम् अभिरे अभिरेभत्यभिरुवत् अभिरेभति. Just see, O Bhima, how the she-jackal cries at the rising sun and vomits fire, and how the dog barks at me fearlessly. Bhaumanaha sardhaihi tribhihi. Beginning with the current verse, in three verses, in 3.5 verses, King Yudhishthir talks about the symptoms on earth, earthly omens, ill omens. These are some bad omens indicating something undesirable in the near future. 13. Shastah kurvanti mam savyam. Shasta kurvanti mam savyam pashavo pare vahansya purusha vyakral lakshaye rutato mama. O Bhimasena, tiger amongst men, now useful animals like cows are passing me on my left side, and lower animals like the asses are circumambulating me. My horses appear to weep upon seeing me. Rasta. Mama Vahani Vahan refers to horses. The horses um, which are used for transport. Those horses. 14. Mrityudukah kapoto yam ulukah kampayan mana pratyulukascha kuhanai vishwam vai shunyamikshataha. You see, this pigeon is like a messenger of death. The shrieks of the owls and their rival crows make my heart tremble. It appears that they want to make a void of the whole universe. Messenger of death means that it's an indicator that death is going to come. धूम्रादिश 15 धूम्रादिशः परिधयः कंपते भूसहाद्रिभिः निर्घातश्च महांस्तात साकं च स्तनयित्नुभिः दिव्यानाः निर्घातश्चास्मिको भवः. The second half of the current verse is from the second half of the current verse. There are omens that are seen in the skies. 16. Vayurvati kharasparsho rajasa visujam stamaha asrig varshanti jalada vivatsam ivasarvataha. The wind blows violently, blasting dust everywhere and creating darkness. Clouds are raining everywhere with bloody disasters. Seventeen. Suryam hata prabham pashya graham mardam mitho divi sasankulair bhuta ganair jwalite iva rodasi. Just see how the rays of the sun are declining and the stars appear to be fighting amongst themselves. Confused living entities appear to be ablaze and weeping. Confused living entities refer to the followers of Rudra. Oh. Jiva Goswami has split Sa Sankulai into two different words. Eighteen. Nadyam Nadash Shubhita Saramsi Cha Manamsi Cha न ज्वलत्यग्निराज्येन कालोयम किम विधास्यति. Rivers, tributaries, ponds, reservoirs, and the mind are all perturbed. Butter no longer ignites fire. Butter here refers to ghee, clarified butter. What is this extraordinary time? What is going to happen? Punarbhomana. Again, he is talking about the omens on the earth in 3.5 verses, beginning with text 18. न पिबन्ति स्तनं वत्सा न दुह्यन्ति च मातरः रुदन्त्यश्रु मुखा गावो न हृष्यन्ति वृषभाव्रजे. The calves do not suck the teats of the cows, nor do the cows give milk. They are standing with tearful faces, crying, and the bulls take no pleasure in the pasturing grounds. दैवतानि रुदन्ति वस्विद्यन्ति चलन्ति च इमे जनपदा ग्रामा पुरोद्यानाकराश्रमाः भ्रष्टश्रियो निरानन्दा किम अघं दर्शयन्ति नः. The deities seem to be crying in the temple, lamenting and perspiring. They seem about to leave. All the cities, villages, towns, gardens, mines, and hermitages are now devoid of beauty. and bereft of all happiness. I do not know what sort of calamities are now awaiting us. #21. Yes.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. Prabhu, these deities refer to which deities? Krishna deities or demigod deities?
Could be both. Any authorized deities.
So, Lord Narayana's deity also seem to be crying in temple.
Yeah.
But is it not strange, like, how can Supreme Lord cry? Why he should cry?
Why he should cry? He is crying because stupid people are going to experience age of Kali. So he's crying because they are going to be crying. Even the mothers cry when the children cry.
Hmm.
#21. Manya eter mahotpate nunam bhagavatah padai ananya purusha shribhir hina bhur hata saubhaga. I think that all these earthly disturbances indicate some greater loss to the good fortune of the world. The world was fortunate to have been marked with the footprints of the lotus feet of the Lord. These signs indicate that this will no longer be. So Sri Yudhishthir, all along he was hesitating to speak the unspeakable, that Lord Sri Krishna has disappeared from this planet. But now he cannot control himself, therefore he is spilling it out. These are all extremely great calamities. The Supreme Lord has certain unique footprints. There's a mark of a thunderbolt, there's a goad, an ankush, which is used to control elephants. So the earth will no longer be marked with those marks. 22. इति चिन्तयतस्तस्य दृष्टारिष्टेन चेतसा राज्ञः प्रत्यागमद्ब्रह्मन् यदुपुर्याः कपिध्वजः. O Brahmana Shaunaka, while Maharaj Yudhishthir observing the inauspicious signs on the earth at that time was just thinking to himself, Arjuna came back from the city of the Yadus, Dwaraka. #23. Tam padayo nipatitam ayatha purvamaturam atho vadanam abindun srijantam nayanabjayo. When he bowed at his feet, the king saw that his dejection was unprecedented. His face was downcast, and tears glided from his lotus eyes. The younger brother offers obeisances to elder brother. Very civilized etiquette. #24. विलोक्योद्विग्न हृदयो विच्छाय मनुजं नृपः पृच्छति स्म सुहृन्मध्ये संस्मरन् नारदेरितम्. Seeing Arjuna pale due to heartfelt anxieties, the king, remembering the indications of the sage Narada, questioned him in the midst of friends. Udvignam, not udvigdanam, udvignam. Udvigna hridayaha. Yudhishthir's heart was filled with anxieties. Arjuna was also in similar anxiety. Vichayam, pale. He was pale due to his own heartfelt anxiety. Twenty-five. Yudhishthira Kacchidanarthapuryam na swajana sukhamasate madhubhoja dasharharha satvatantaka vrishnayah. Maharaj Yudhishthira said, my dear brother, please tell me whether our friends and relatives such as the Madhus, Bhojas, Dasharhas, Arhas, Satvatas, Andhakas, members of the Yadu family are all passing their days in happiness. Twenty-six. Shuro mata mahah kachit swasyaste vathama rishaha matulas sanujah kachit kushalyana kadundubhihi. Is my respectable grandfather Shurasena in a happy mood, and are my maternal uncle Vasudeva and his younger brothers all doing well? Kunti's father. Anakadundubi is Vasudeva. वक्ष्यति इति अनिष्ट आशंकया व्युत्क्रमेण पृच्छति. Yudhishthira was frightened that he is going to say something undesirable, and therefore he is asking about beloved, respected personalities of Dwaraka in reverse order. Initially, he is going to ask about uh, all those related to Lord Krishna. Finally, he is going to come to Krishna. He's just too frightened to ask. 27. Saptasvasaras. Where is this? Swasara. Swasara. I should have a hyphen. Swasara. Saptasvasarastapatnyo matulanya sahatmaja asate sasmusha shemam. Devaki Prabhupada, his 7 wives headed by Devaki are all sisters. Are they and their sons and daughters-in-law all happy? Shamena. He had already inquired about them, but still again he's inquiring, because if Vasudeva is well, it is automatically implied that they are also well. But still, specifically he's asking about them. 28 and 29. Kachit Raja Hupo Jivat Yasat Putrosya Chanujaha Kritika Sasuto Kruro Jayantak Gata Sarana Asate Kushalam Kachid Yecha Shatrujadayah Kachidaste Sukham Ramo Bhagavan Satwatam Prabhu or Ugrasena, whose son was the mischievous Kamsa, and his younger brother Devaka still living, are Hridika and his son Kritavarma happy, or Akrura, Jayanta, Gada, Sarana, and Shatrujit all happy? How is Balaram, the personality of Godhead and the protector of the devotees? Jayanta and others are Krishna's brothers. He's asking whether the king, Ahuka, Ahuka is another name of Ugrasena, whether the king is still living because uh, because he had a son like Hamsa who was a hater of Lord Krishna. So Ugrasena, Yudhishthira is thinking, even now he would be in such embarrassment that maybe he gave up his body out of embarrassment. Therefore, he's asking, is he still living? Asan putraha yasya atayeva jivanamattram prishtam. Vishnu Chakravarti Tagore explains it another way, that because he had such a terrible son, he had such a mischievous son, he's asking, he's not asking, is he happy? He's only asking, is he alive? Because he had such a terrible son. If you have a terrible son or a terrible disciple or terrible person, the whole world hates them, then maximum your dharmic well-wishers would simply ask, are you alive? That's all. They will not go further and wish that you be happy and so on, because you already produced universal calamities. Hastinapur, the capital of the Pandavas, was situated somewhere near present New Delhi. The kingdom of Ugrasena was situated in Mathura. While returning to Hastinapur from Dwaraka, Arjuna must have visited the city of Mathura, and therefore the inquiry about the king of Mathura is valid. Amongst various names of the relatives, the name of Rama or Balaram, the eldest brother of Lord Krishna, has the words, the personality of God added, Bhagavan. Because Lord Balaram is the immediate expansion of Vishnu Tattva as Prakasha Vigraha of Lord Krishna. The Supreme Lord, although one without a second, expands himself as many other living beings. The Vishnu Tattva living beings are plenary expansions of the Supreme Lord, and thus all of them are qualitatively and quantitatively equal with the Lord. But expansions of the Jiva Shakti, the category of the ordinary living beings, are not at all quantitatively equal with the Lord. One who considers the Jiva Shakti and the Vishnu Tattva to be on an equal level is considered the condemned soul of the world. Sri Rama or Balarama is the protector of the devotees of the Lord. Baladev acts as the spiritual master of all devotees, and only by his causeless mercy are the fallen souls delivered. Sri Baladev appeared as Sri Nityananda Prabhu during the advent of Lord Chaitanya, and the great Lord Nityananda Prabhu exhibited his causeless mercy by delivering a pair of extremely fallen souls, namely Jagai and Madhai. Therefore, it is particularly mentioned herein that Balaram is the protector of the devotees of the Lord. So we should take shelter of Lord Nityananda Prabhu whenever we are in spiritual difficulty. Only by his divine grace can one approach the Supreme Lord Sri Krishna, and thus Sri Balaram is the mercy incarnation of the Lord, manifested as a spiritual master, the savior of the pure devotees. 30. Pradyumna sarva vrishninam sukhamaste maharatha gambhira rayo niruddho vardhate bhagavanuta. How is Pradyumna, the great general of the Vrishni family? Is he happy? And is Aniruddha, the plenary expansion of the personality of Godhead, faring well? Why this alone? Like this. Pradyumna and Aniruddha are also plenary expansions of the personality of Godhead, and thus they are also Vishnu Tattva. At Dwaraka, Lord Vasudeva is engaged in his transcendental pastimes, along with his plenary expansions, namely Sankarshana, Pradyumna, and Aniruddha. And therefore, each and every one of them can be addressed as the personality of Godhead, as it is mentioned in connection with the name Aniruddha. Here also, you see, Bhagavan. The word Bhagavan is used to refer to Aniruddha. So this is an indication that Aniruddha is Bhagavan, Pradyumna is Bhagavan, Sankarshana or Balaram was already mentioned as Bhagavan. 31. Sushenaschcharu deshnascha sambojambavati sutaha अन्ये च कार्ष्णिक प्रवरा सपुत्रा ऋषभादयः are all the chieftain sons of Lord Krishna, such as Sushena, Charudeshna, Samba, son of Jambavati, and Rishabha, along with their sons, all doing well? As already mentioned, Lord Krishna married 16,108 wives, and each of them had 10 sons. And therefore, 16,108 times 10 equals 161,080 sons. They all grew up, and each of them had as many sons as their father. And then, with great grandsons, the whole aggregate was something near 10 million family members of the Lord. The Lord is the father of all living beings who are countless in number. Therefore, only a few of them are called to associate with the Lord in his transcendental pastimes as the Lord of Dwaraka on this earth. It is not astonishing that the Lord maintained a visible family consisting of 10 million members. It is better to refrain from comparing the Lord's position to ours. And it becomes a simple truth as soon as we understand at least a partial calculation of the Lord's transcendental position. King Yudhishthir, while inquiring about the Lord's sons and grandsons at Dwaraka, mentioned only the chieftains amongst them, for it was impossible for him to remember all the names of the Lord's family members. 32 and 33. Tathaivanu charashaure shrutadevodhavadayaha sunandananda shirshanya ye chanye satvarshabha apiswastyasate sarve ramakrishna bhujashriya apismaranti kushalam asmakam baddha sauhrida. Also, Shrutadeva, Uddhava, and others, including Nanda, Sunanda, and other leaders of liberated souls who are constant companions of the Lord and are protected by Lord Balaram and Krishna, are they all doing well in their respective functions? Do they, who are all eternally bound in friendship with us, remember our welfare? The constant companions of Lord Krishna, such as Uddhava, are all liberated souls, and they descended along with Lord Krishna to this material world to fulfill the mission of the Lord. The Pandavas are also liberated souls who descended along with Lord Krishna to serve him in his transcendental pastimes on this earth, as stated in the Bhagavad Gita 4.5. The Lord and his eternal associates, who are also liberated souls like the Lord, come down to this earth at certain intervals. The Lord remembers all these descents, but his associates, although liberated souls, forget due to their being Tatastha Shakti, or the marginal potency of the Lord. That is the difference between the Vishnu Tattvas and Jiva Tattvas. The Jiva Tattvas are infinitesimal particles of the Lord's potency, and therefore they require the protection of the Lord at all times. And to the eternal servitors of the Lord is pleased to give all protection and at all times. The liberated souls never therefore think themselves as free as the Lord or as powerful as the Lord, but they always seek the protection of the Lord in all circumstances, both in the material world and in the spiritual world. In the world of non-devotees, to take shelter of someone else is considered very embarrassing. And even if you do that, you should not notify anyone else of it. But in the spiritual world, that is not the conception. It is a matter of great pleasure to take shelter of Krishna, who is worthy of being the object of full-fledged surrender. This dependence of the liberated soul is constitutional, for the liberated souls are like sparks of a fire that are able to exhibit the glow of fire along with the fire and not independently. Independently, the glow of the sparks is extinguished, although the quality of fire or the glowing is there. Thus, those who give up the protection of the Lord and become so-called lords themselves out of spiritual ignorance come back again to this material world even after prolonged tapasya of the severest type. That is the verdict of all Vedic literature. 34. Bhagavan api Govindo Brahmanyo Bhaktavatsala Kachit Pure Sudharmayam Sukhamaste Sukhrid Vritaha is Lord Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who gives pleasure to the cows, the senses, and the Brahmanas, and who is very affectionate towards his devotees, enjoying the pious assembly at Dwarakapuri, surrounded by friends. Madhvacharya has given a very interesting remark here, based on a statement of the Naradiya Purana. When Yudhishthira is asking, is the Lord happy? What he intends to ask is he situated in such a manner that others are happy? Because the Supreme Lord is always happy. Eternally, uninterruptedly, he is happy. So there's no need to ask whether he is happy. But the Lord is very much bothered about the happiness of the world. He comes to this world to make this world happy. Is he happy in the city? That means, is he happy with the city? Because it is inappropriate to ask if the Supreme Lord himself experiences happiness. He's always happy. There's no need to ask whether he is in an auspicious state, because he himself is the very personification of auspiciousness. Mangala Swarupe Bhagavati. Here in this particular verse, the Lord is described as Bhagavan, Govinda, Brahmanya, and Bhaktavatsala. Bhagavan, the personality of God and Krishna. Govinda, one who enlivens the cows and the senses. Brahmanya, devoted to the devotees or Brahmanas. Bhaktavatsala, affectionate to the devotees. He is Bhagavan Swayam, or the original Supreme Personality of Godhead, full with all opulences, all power, all knowledge, all beauty, all fame, and all renunciation. No one is equal to or greater than him. He is Govinda because he is the pleasure of the cows and the senses. Those who have purified their senses by the devotion service of the Lord can render unto him a real service and thereby derive transcendental pleasure out of such purified senses. In the pure condition, the living being cannot derive any pleasure from the senses. But being illusioned by false pleasures of the senses, he becomes a servant of the senses. Therefore, we need the Lord's protection for our own interest. The Lord is the protector of the cows and the Brahmanical culture. A society devoid of cow protection and Brahmanical culture is not under the direct protection of the Lord, just as the prisoners in the jails are not under the direct protection of the king, but under the protection of a severe agent of the king. Without cow protection and cultivation of the Brahmanical qualities in human society, at least for a section of the members of society, no human civilization can prosper at any length. By Brahmanical culture, or the development of the dormant qualities of goodness, namely truthfulness, equanimity, sense control, forbearance, simplicity, general knowledge, transcendental knowledge, and firm faith in the Vedic wisdom, one can become a Brahmana and thus see the Lord as he is. And after surpassing the Brahmanical perfection, one has to become a devotee of the Lord, so that his loving affection in the form of proprietor, master, friend, son, and lover can be transcendently achieved. So Brahmana is up to Shantarasa. The stage of a devotee which attracts the transcendental affection of the Lord does not develop unless one has developed the qualities of a Brahmana, as above mentioned. So the entire Vedic culture is to make us into Brahmanas by quality, by quality. Even if externally one is playing the role of a Kshatriya or a Vaishya or a Shudra, one is expected to come to the point of having the qualities of a Brahmana, exclusively having the qualities of a Brahmana. So from Swanishta, he becomes a Parinishthita, and then afterwards he's simply doing role play. Because Parinishtitas in good standing are all Brahmanical by nature. But they will do the role play that is required to inspire the Swanishtas. The Swanishtas themselves, they need to do whatever is required to purify themselves, to free themselves from lust, anger, greed. The Lord is inclined to a Brahmana of quality and not of false prestige. Those who are less than a Brahmana by qualification cannot establish any relation with God. Just as fire cannot be kindled from the raw earth unless there is wood, although there is a relation between wood and the earth. Since the Lord is all perfect in himself, there could not be any question of his welfare. And Maharaj Yudhishthira refrained from asking this question. He simply inquired about his residential place, Dwarakapuri, where pious men assemble. The Lord stays only where pious men assemble and take pleasure in glorifying the Supreme Truth. And therefore, I say that in Krishna consciousness, we have to first of all become uninterruptedly dharmic in every manner. Then, uninterruptedly dharmic in every manner, uninterruptedly sattvic in every manner. Then we have to become uninterruptedly dharmic in every manner, uninterruptedly sattvic in every manner, uninterruptedly pure in every manner. Then we can become uninterruptedly dharmic in every manner, uninterruptedly sattvic in every manner, uninterruptedly pure in every manner, and uninterruptedly perfect in every manner. Imperfect means as perfect as a jiva can become in prema bhakti. That is the maximum. We cannot become perfect like Krishna. Krishna is the independent master. We can become dependent servants, full-fledged prema bhakti. Maharaj Yudhishthira was anxious to know about the pious men and their pious acts in the city of Dwaraka. 35 to 36. Mangalaya cha lokanam, shemaya cha bhavaya cha, aste yadukulam bodha, adyonanta sakakuman. Yad bahudanda guptayam swapuryam yadavurchita, kridanti paramananda mahapaurushika iva. The original personality of God is the supreme enjoyer, is staying in the ocean of the Yadu dynasty with Balaram, the primeval Lord Ananta, for the welfare, protection, and gentle progress of the entire universe. And the members of the Yadu dynasty, being protected by the arms of the Lord, are enjoying life like the residents of the spiritual sky. Sridhar Swami has noted that the Supreme Personality of God, Lord Sri Krishna, he was residing only for the auspiciousness of all the people and all the worlds, and for no other purpose. This he notes in 4 verses beginning with text 35. Vishnu Chakravarti Thakur points out, for the auspiciousness of the world means for bestowing love of God. There are particular words that are being used here, very interesting. For everyone's good, it is one purpose. So for everyone's good means for granting them love of God, love of Krishna. Another purpose, for protecting. So for some of them, he is bestowing liberation. And for elevation, that means he is providing them material prosperity. So depending on what they want, if they want Trivarga, then he is giving them Trivarga, Dharmartha Kama. If they want Moksha, giving them that. If they want Prema Bhakti, which is the actual auspiciousness, is giving them that. You cannot give Artha Kama without Dharma. No Dvivarga, only Trivarga. Continuous here. Mahabhaushikaha refers to associates of the master of Vaikuntha. Ive iti laukika drishtya. Iva. They're enjoying life like the residents of the spiritual sky. What does that mean? This is just by from the perspective of the mass, common people, they seem to be like residents of Vaikuntha. In reality, it is actually Vaikuntha, but common people do not know. As we have discussed many times, the personality of God in Vishnu resides within each and every universe in two capacities, namely as the Garbhodakashayi Vishnu and Kshirodakashayi Vishnu. The Kshirodakashayi Vishnu has its own planet on the northern top of the universe, and there is a great ocean of milk where the Lord resides on the bed of the Ananta incarnation of Baladev. Thus, Maharaj Yudhishthira has compared the Yadu dynasty to the ocean of milk and Sri Balaram to the Ananta, where Lord Krishna resides. He has compared the citizens of Dwaraka to the liberated inhabitants of the Vaikuntha lotus. Beyond the material sky, further than we can see with our eyes and beyond the sevenfold coverings of the universe, there is a causal ocean in which all the universes are floating like footballs. And beyond the causal ocean, there is an unlimited span of spiritual sky, generally known as the effulgence of Brahman. Within this effulgence, there are innumerable spiritual planets, and they are known as the Vaikuntha planets. Each and every Vaikuntha planet is many, many times bigger than the biggest universe within the material world. And in each of them, there are innumerable inhabitants who look exactly like Lord Vishnu. These inhabitants are known as the Mahapaurushikas, or persons directly engaged in the service of the Lord. They are happy in those planets and are without any kind of misery, and they live perpetually in full youthfulness, enjoying life in full bliss and knowledge without fear of birth, death, old age, or disease, and without the influence of Kala, eternal time. Maharaj Yudhishthira has compared the inhabitants of Dwaraka to the Mahapaurushikas of Vaikuntha Loka because they are so happy with the Lord. In the Bhagavad Gita, there are many references to the Vaikuntha Lokas, and they are mentioned there as Madhama, or the kingdom of the Lord. 57. Yatpada Shushushana Mukhya Karmana Satyadayodvyashta Sahasra Yoshitaha Nirjitya Sankhye Tribdashams Tada Shisho Haranti Vajrayudha Vallabhochita. Simply by administering comforts at the lotus feet of the Lord, which is the most important of all services. The queens at Dwaraka, headed by Satyabhama, induced the Lord to conquer the demigods. Thus, the queens enjoyed things which are prerogatives of the wives of the controller of Thunderbolt. The controller of Thunderbolt is Indra. Here, Yatpada Shushushana Mukhya Karmana indicates that the act of serving his lotus feet and administering him comforts is the most important activity compared to performance of various austerities and so on. Vajrayudha Vallabha Uchitaha means these are all the pleasures that were deserving of Shachi Devi, who is the wife of Indra. Of course, it also includes the other beloveds of Indra. So they enjoy things which are prerogatives, means they enjoy things like the Parijata and so on. Satyabhama, one of the principal queens of Lord Sri Krishna at Dwaraka. After killing Narakasura, Lord Krishna visited the palace of Narakasura, accompanied by Satyabhama. He also went to Indraloka with Satyabhama, and she was received by Shachi Devi, who introduced her to the mother of the demigods, Aditi. Aditi was very much pleased with Satyabhama, and she blessed her with the benediction of permanent youth as long as Lord Krishna remained on the earth. Aditi also took her with her to show her the special prerogatives of the demigods in the heavenly planet. When Satyabhama saw the Parijata flower, she desired to have it in her palace at Dwaraka. After that, she came back to Dwaraka along with her husband and expressed her willingness to have the Parijata flower at her palace. Satyabhama's palace was especially bedecked with valuable jewels, and even in the hottest season of summer, the inside of the palace remained cool as if air-conditioned. She decorated her palace with various flags, heralding the news of her great husband's presence there. Once, along with her husband, she met Draupadi, and she was anxious to be instructed by Draupadi in the ways and means of pleasing her husband. Draupadi was expert in this affair because she kept 5 husbands, the Pandavas, and all were very much pleased with her. On receipt of Draupadi's instructions, she was very much pleased and offered her good wishes and returned to Dwaraka. She was the daughter of Satrajit. After the departure of Lord Krishna, when Arjuna visited Dwaraka, all the queens, including Satyabhama and Rukmini, lamented for the Lord with great feeling. At the last stage of her life, she left for the forest to undergo severe penance. Satyabhama instigated her husband to get the Parijata flower from the heavenly planets, and the Lord got it even by force from the demigods, as a common husband secures things to please his wife. As already explained, the Lord had very little to do with so many wives to carry out their orders like an ordinary man. But because the queens accepted the high quality of devotional service, namely administering the Lord all comforts, the Lord played the part of a faithful and complete husband. No earthly creature can expect to have things from the heavenly kingdom, especially the Parijata flowers, which are simply to be used by the demigods. But due to their becoming the Lord's faithful wives, all of them enjoy the special prerogatives of the great wives of the denizens of heaven. In other words, since the Lord is the proprietor of everything within his creation, it is not very astonishing for the queens of Dwaraka to have any rare thing from any part of the universe. 38. Yad bahudandabhyudayan jivino yadu pravira hyapto bhayam अधिक्रमन्त्यङ्घ्रिभिराहृतं बलात् सभां सुधर्मां सुरसत्तमोचिताम्. Achyutanam Prabhu. And there is something in the chat box. Okay, Achyutanam Prabhu.
Prabhu, I have 2 points here. How is chanting the holy name related to this most important of all services? They mentioned in the translation, administering comforts at Lord's lotus feet.
Administering comforts to the Lord's lotus feet refers to Pada Sevanam, which represents Navavidha Bhakti. Compared to other processes in the Jnana system like austerities, yoga, Bhakti is certainly the highest. That is the point.
Okay. And it's also mentioned at the last stage of her life regarding Satyabhama. She left for the forest to undergo severe penance. But
Sorry?
regarding Satyabhama, it's written in the purport. At the last stage of her life, she left for the forest to undergo severe penance. So, was she not among those queens who were stolen by the cowherds?
Looks like. These things come in Mahabharata, Harivamsa, Puranas. All these details are they are spread out, scattered.
Okay.
Okay, there are some questions here. How to take shelter of Lord Balaram? Means we should pray to him about our difficulties. Yes, Prabhupada said in Vrindavan ISKCON, Krishna Balaram Mandir. He said, if you have any problem, you go before Krishna Balaram and you say, my dear sirs, I have such and such a problem. And you tell your problem and you request them, my dear sirs, please solve this problem. And they will solve. That's all. So here also we have many more sirs. We have Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Nityananda Prabhu, Advaita Prabhu, Gadadhar Prabhu, Srivas Prabhu. So if we are seeking sadhana siddhi and bhakti yoga, we can go to them and say, my dear sirs, please make me qualified to experience the solution to all the problems that I myself keep creating on a daily basis. Please help me out. And they will be more than happy to take charge of our lives and solve it. When they take charge of our lives, at that time we should not try to prevent them from taking charge of our lives. What is the meaning of every manner? In every manner, we are expected to be dharmic, with body, mind, and words. at a later stage when we are sattvic, in addition to being dharmic, that is meant to be in every manner, in body, mind, and words. Similarly, pure, and so on. The great heroes of the Yadu dynasty, being protected by the arms of Lord Shri Krishna, always remain fearless in every respect, and therefore their feet trample over the Sudharma assembly house, which the gods deserved, but which was taken away from them. So these residents of Dwaraka were habituated to always depending on the Supreme Lord's prowess, Lord Shri Krishna's prowess. The assembly house had been forcibly brought about, had been brought from Swargaloka. Those who are directly servitors of the Lord are protected by the Lord from all fearfulness. And they also enjoy the best of things, even if they are forcibly accumulated. The Lord is equal in behavior to all living beings, but is partial to his pure devotees, being very affectionate toward them. That is also because the pure devotees of the Lord are, there's a statement in Bhagavatam about sadhus. Titikshava, Karunika, Sukhridam, Sarvadehinam, Ajata Shatrava, Sadhava, Sadhubhushana. Naturally, Krishna is attracted to those who are, is more attracted to those who are more selfless and more enlightened. It means who have a greater capacity to benefit others. So his apparent partiality is actually a symptom of his impartiality. The city of Dwaraka was flourishing, being enriched with the best of things in the material world. The state assembly house is constructed according to the dignity of the particular state. In the heavenly planets, the state assembly house, or Sudharma, was deserving of the dignity of the best of the demigods. Such an assembly house is never meant for any state on the earthly globe, because the human beings on the earth are unable to construct it, however far a particular state may be materially advanced. But during the time of Lord Krishna's presence on the earth, the members of the Yadu family forcibly brought the celestial assembly house to earth and placed it at Dwaraka. They were able to use such force because they were certain of the indulgence and protection of the Supreme Lord Krishna. In other words, the Lord is provided with the best things in the universe by his pure devotees. Lord Krishna was provided with all kinds of comforts and facilities available within the universe by the members of the Yadu dynasty. And in return, such servitors of the Lord were protected and fearless. A forgetful, conditioned soul is fearful, but a liberated soul is never fearful. Just as a small child, completely dependent on the mercy of his father, is never fearful of anyone. So if a small child is completely dependent on the mercy of his father, and his father is sufficiently competent, then the child is not frightened at all. Fearfulness is a sort of illusion for the living being when he is in slumber, due to forgetting his eternal relation with the Lord. Since the living being is never to die by his constitution, as stated in Bhagavad Gita 2.20, then what is the cause of fearfulness? A person may be fearful of a tiger in a dream, but another man who is awake by his side sees no tiger there. The tiger is a myth for both of them, namely the person dreaming and the person awake, because actually there is no tiger. But the man, forgetful of his awakened life, is fearful, whereas the man who has not forgotten his position is not at all fearful. There is a statement by Prabhupada in his Bhagavad Gita purports. There is no fear in spiritual realization. This is a common theme in the Upanishads. Bhayam dvitiya abhiniveshatasya dvaitadvai bhayam bhavati Fear comes due to conceptions of plurality. The Mayavadis completely screw up this. And they think that you become fearful because you think that there is a God and that you are a servant and so on. This is not the meaning of that. The meaning of the statement is found in Bhagavatam itself. Bhayam, what is that? Dvitiya viniveshata syat. It's because we conceive of somebody being as powerful as God and who can harm us. Therefore, we are frightened. When we realize that there is only one supreme being who is all compassionate and who is all powerful, then there's no reason to be frightened. Thus, the members of the other dynasty were fully awake in their service to the Lord, and therefore there was no tiger for them to be afraid of at any time. Even if there were a real tiger, the Lord was there to protect them. 39. Khachitte namayam tata bhrashtatteja vibhasi me alabdhamano vagyata kimva tata chiroshitaha. My dear brother Arjuna, please tell me whether your health is all right. You appear to have lost your bodily luster. Is this due to others disrespecting and neglecting you because of your long stay at Dwaraka? Idanim tasyeva kushalam prakshati. Now he's asking about Arjuna's welfare in 6 verses, beginning with the current verse 39. He had inquired about the welfare of the residents of Dwaraka. So like that, he did not want any inauspiciousness for them. So like that, he did not want any inauspiciousness for Arjuna also. From all angles of vision, the Maharaja inquired from Arjuna about the welfare of Dwaraka. But he concluded at last that as long as Lord Shri Krishna himself was there, nothing inauspicious could happen. But at the same time, Arjuna appeared to be bereft of his bodily luster. And thus the king inquired about his personal welfare and asked so many vital questions. Okay, we'll stop with that. Tomorrow, Friday 11th, day after tomorrow, Saturday 12th, there will be a review. Okay. Just be prepared. I'll have to use the timer. I'll make all of you speak for 4 minutes with the timer on. Okay. Vanchakalpatarubheshu vipasandibhyo vachapatitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavibhyo namo.